I never planned to expose my boss's incompetence in front of our biggest potential client, but Marcus Thompson had pushed me too far. Sometimes the people who mock you the most are the ones who understand you the least. Let me tell you how I turned a hostile workplace into my greatest triumph. My name is Alex Chen, and I've spent the last 3 years working remotely as a solutions architect for Global Tech Solutions, one of America's most innovative tech consulting firms, at least according to their marketing materials. The reality was quite different, especially under Marcus Thompson's leadership. I still remember my first encounter with Marcus' prejudice against remote workers. It was during a video call 6 months ago, when he took over as our new VP of Operations. "So you're one of our virtual employees," he said, his lips curling into a slight sneer, as if the word left a bad taste in his mouth. "Must be nice working in your pajamas while the rest of us handle the real business in the office." I maintained my professional smile, the one I perfected over countless video calls. "Actually, I've managed to secure 3 of our largest contracts while working remotely, sir. The Singapore project alone." Yes, he cut me off, waving his hand dismissively. "But imagine what you could achieve if you were actually committed to the company culture. We need people in the office where real innovation happens." What Marcus didn't know, what none of them knew, was that while they were busy playing office politics in their glass-walled conference rooms, I was building something revolutionary, something that would either secure Global Tech's future or expose its biggest weakness, depending on how the next few days played out. The quarterly meeting last Tuesday was where everything came to a head. I had spent months developing a new AI-driven project management system, one that could revolutionize how global teams collaborate. It wasn't just software, it was a complete paradigm shift in remote work capability. The conference room was packed with in-office employees, their faces a mix of boredom and barely concealed disdain as my video feed appeared on the main screen. Marcus sat at the head of the table, scrolling through his phone, barely paying attention as I began my presentation. The Remote Sync System, or RSS, represents a fundamental shift in how we approach distributed team management, I explained, sharing my screen to demonstrate the interface. Early tests show a 40% increase in project completion rates and a 60% improvement in team communication efficiency. That's when Marcus decided to make his move. "Alex," he interrupted, his voice dripping with condescension, "while I appreciate your enthusiasm, we're not interested in tools that enable more remote work. In fact," he smiled, looking around the room for support, "we're planning to eliminate remote positions entirely. Real innovation requires real presence." The room erupted in supportive murmurs and knowing chuckles. Marcus had been building to this moment, I realized. He was using my presentation as a platform to announce his new anti-remote work policy. "Remote workers like you are just lazy freeloaders," he continued, warming to his theme. "Hiding behind screens, probably running side businesses while collecting our paychecks. It's time for Global Tech to move forward with people who are truly committed to our success." The old me might have backed down, might have apologized and tried to defend the basic concept of remote work. But I wasn't that person anymore, because Marcus had made one crucial mistake. He hadn't bothered to check who was actually attending Friday's client presentation with Quantum Dynamics, the $50 billion tech giant that was looking for a new solutions partner. "That's an interesting perspective, Marcus," I said calmly, my voice cutting through the laughter. "Let's see what happens at Friday's global client presentation." Marcus's smile faltered slightly. "What are you talking about?" "Oh, didn't you know? Quantum Dynamics specifically requested that I lead the presentation of our new collaboration tools. Their CEO was quite impressed with the preliminary RSS demo I showed their tech team last month." The room fell silent. Marcus's face went through a series of interesting color changes. That's impossible," he stammered. "I'm handling the Quantum Dynamics account personally. They're looking for traditional enterprise solutions, not some remote work fantasy." I smiled, thinking about the emails saved in my private folder, the ones that would prove very interesting to both our board and Quantum's executives. "We'll see on Friday, won't we? Now, if you'll excuse me, I have some final preparations to make for the presentation." I disconnected from the call, but not before seeing Marcus frantically typing on his phone, likely trying to figure out how he'd missed something this big. What he didn't know, what none of them knew, was that RSS wasn't just a project management system. It was a complete digital transformation platform, one that I'd been secretly testing with some of Quantum's development teams for the past 3 months. And on Friday, they weren't just coming to see a presentation. They were coming to sign a $50 million contract that would change everything. As I sat in my home office that evening, surrounded by monitors showing the final testing phases of RSS, I couldn't help but smile. Marcus thought he was eliminating remote work. Instead, he was about to learn a very expensive lesson about underestimating people he couldn't see. My phone buzzed, a message from Sarah in HR. Marcus is on a rampage. He's trying to access all your project files and documentation. Whatever you're planning, be careful. I thanked her for the warning, but I wasn't worried. Every line of code, every test result, every communication was carefully documented and secured. Marcus could search all he wanted. He wouldn't find anything until I was ready to show it. The next 2 days were a blur of preparation and careful maneuvering. Marcus made multiple attempts to contact me, first with demands, then with threats, and finally with a desperate offer of a promotion if I would collaborate with him on the Quantum presentation. I ignored them all. Instead, I focused on fine-tuning the final demonstration that would either make my career or end it spectacularly. There would be no middle ground after Friday. As I reviewed the presentation one final time on Thursday night, my phone rang. It was Lisa, my mentor from my early days at Global Tech. "Alex, are you sure about this?" she asked, concern evident in her voice. "Marcus has powerful friends in the industry. If this goes wrong..." "It won't," I assured her. "Everything is documented, validated, and ready. By this time tomorrow, Global Tech will either embrace the future of work or they'll watch their biggest competitor do it instead." After we hung up, I walked to my window, looking out at the city lights. Tomorrow would change everything, not just for me, but for every remote worker who'd ever been dismissed, doubted, or disrespected. I thought about all the late nights, the missed weekends, the endless iterations and improvements I poured into RSS. Marcus thought remote workers were lazy freeloaders. Tomorrow he'd learn just how much someone could accomplish from behind a screen. As I made final checks on my presentation setup, I received one last email from Quantum's CEO. "Looking forward to tomorrow, Alex. Your RSS platform is exactly what we've been searching for. Let's show Global Tech the future." I smiled, thinking about Marcus's face when he realized just how wrong he'd been. Sometimes the best revenge isn't confrontation. It's simply proving your worth so undeniably that no one can question it again. Tomorrow would be that day. And I was ready. Friday morning arrived with the kind of clarity that only comes before life-changing moments. I had been awake since 4 a.m., running through final checks of the RSS platform. Every feature, every innovation that I developed over the past year was about to be put to the ultimate test. The presentation was scheduled for 10 a.m., but I logged into the conference system at 9:30, wanting to ensure everything was perfect. To my amusement, I discovered Marcus had already arrived at the office conference room, nervously pacing as he barked orders at his team. "Where are the traditional enterprise proposals?" I heard him demand through my early connection. "We need to steer them away from this remote work nonsense." I smiled, remembering the conversations I'd had with Quantum's tech team over the past months. Marcus had no idea that they'd already made their decision. Today's presentation wasn't really about convincing them. It was about showing Global Tech's leadership exactly what they'd been ignoring. At precisely 9:55, the Quantum Dynamics team began joining the call. First came their technical leads, then their department heads, and finally, CEO Catherine Morrison herself appeared on screen. I noticed with satisfaction that most of them were joining remotely from offices around the world. "Good morning, everyone," Catherine began, her presence commanding even through video. "We're here today to discuss the future of enterprise collaboration, and specifically the RSS platform that Alex Chen has developed. Alex, are you ready to begin?" Before I could respond, Marcus jumped in. "Actually, Ms. Morrison, as VP of Operations, I'd like to present our complete portfolio of enterprise solutions. Alex's project is just one small part of what Global Tech can offer." Catherine's expression cooled slightly. "Mr. Thompson, we're here specifically to see the RSS demonstration. Our technical team has been working with Alex for months, and we're quite impressed with the results." Marcus's face reddened. "But, please," Catherine cut him off politely but firmly. "Let's proceed as planned. Alex?" I shared my screen, revealing not just a presentation, but a live demonstration of the RSS platform. What you're about to see isn't just another project management tool, I began. It's a completely new way of thinking about remote collaboration. Over the next 30 minutes, I demonstrated how RSS could transform enterprise-level teamwork. The platform didn't just track projects. It used AI to predict bottlenecks, automatically adjusted workflows based on team members' peak productivity hours across time zones, and included revolutionary features for spontaneous collaboration that replicated the best aspects of office interactions in a digital space. This is the future of work, I explained, showing how the system had already improved productivity in Quantum's test groups by over 70%. It doesn't matter if your team is in the same office or spread across continents. RSS makes distance irrelevant. The Quantum team's excitement was palpable, even through video. Their technical leads were already discussing implementation strategies in the chat. But it was Marcus's face that told the real story. He had gone from red to pale, finally understanding what he had dismissed. Then came the moment that changed everything. Now, I said, let me show you something we haven't discussed before. I switched to a new screen showing real-time analytics from Global Tech's own projects. These are the comparative productivity metrics from our office-based teams versus our remote workers over the past year. Marcus stood up abruptly. This is confidential company data. Actually, I corrected him calmly. This is data from my own research, properly anonymized and approved by our legal team 3 months ago. You would have known about it if you'd read any of the reports I submitted. The graphs told a clear story. Remote workers were outperforming their office-based counterparts by significant margins, especially in complex problem-solving tasks and client satisfaction metrics. But that's impossible, Marcus uttered. Remote work decreases productivity. Everyone knows that. Catherine Morrison's voice cut through his protests. Actually, Mr. Thompson, our own research shows similar results. It's one of the reasons we're so interested in the RSS platform. Alex, please continue. The next revelation hit like a thunderbolt. Using RSS's advanced analytics, I continued, we discovered that teams with the most flexibility and remote work options consistently delivered the highest value solutions to clients. In fact, the Singapore project that Marcus dismissed earlier, it was completed 40% under budget and earned Global Tech its highest client satisfaction rating ever. The room fell silent as I pulled up the final slide. Quantum Dynamics isn't just looking for a new tool, I said, looking directly at the camera. You're looking for a partner who understands the future of work. That's why I'm pleased to announce that RSS isn't just a Global Tech product. It's been developed in direct collaboration with Quantum's own tech teams, and it's ready for immediate enterprise-wide deployment. Catherine smiled. Indeed it is. In fact, she looked at her screen briefly. I've just received confirmation that our board has approved the full implementation contract. $50 million for the first phase, with an option for global rollout valued at up to $200 million. Marcus collapsed back into his chair as Catherine continued. Furthermore, we want Alex to lead the implementation personally, heading a new division focused on remote work innovation. The next few minutes were a blur of congratulations and excited discussion. Through it all, I watched Marcus, who sat in stunned silence, his entire perspective on remote work crumbling around him. After the call ended, my phone exploded with messages. First came one from our CEO. My office, tomorrow morning. Bring your vision for the remote work division. Then came a message from HR. Marcus has submitted his resignation, effective immediately. Finally, a message from Catherine. Brilliant presentation, Alex. Looking forward to revolutionizing the future of work together. I sat back in my home office chair, looking at the city skyline through my window. The same view I'd had while building RSS, while enduring Marcus's mockery, while planning this moment. It seemed fitting that this victory for remote work had been achieved from the very setting that Marcus had dismissed as unprofessional. The following Monday, I was named Executive Vice President of Digital Transformation at Global Tech. My first official act was to announce a new flexible work policy, allowing employees to choose their own work arrangements based on their roles and preferences. 6 months later, RSS has become the industry standard for remote collaboration. Our stock price has doubled, and we've had to hire hundreds of new developers, many of them working remotely, to keep up with demand. Marcus, Last I heard, he was trying to launch his own traditional consulting firm, still insisting that real work can only happen in an office. Good luck with that. As for me, I still work primarily from home, though I do enjoy visiting our offices occasionally. My corner office, Marcus's old space, is now a digital collaboration hub, showcasing RSS to potential clients. It's a daily reminder that success isn't about where you work, it's about the value you create. Sometimes, when I'm mentoring new remote employees, they ask me if I was ever tempted to just quit when Marcus was at his worst. I tell them what I've learned. The best revenge isn't quitting, and it isn't even proving people wrong. It's revolutionizing the entire system that made their prejudices possible in the first place. Yesterday, I received an email from a young developer in rural India, telling me how RSS had allowed her to join a top tech firm without leaving her hometown. "You've changed what's possible," she wrote. That's what this was all about in the end. Not just proving Marcus wrong, but proving that the future of work doesn't have to look like the past. Innovation doesn't care where you sit, and success doesn't need a corner office. As I write this from my home office, overseeing teams spread across 12 countries, I can't help but smile at how far we've come. The next time someone tells you that remote workers are lazy freeloaders, just remember, some of the biggest revolutions in business history were planned from a home office. And sometimes the best way to change the system is to build a better one.